Hello, beautiful people. Listen, Darama, welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be checking this video and it's titled Fantastic. Donald Trump Jr. shuts down hapless MSNBC correspondent in heated clash. Interesting. So, we're going to be checking this video to hear what I got to say. Let's check it out.
And all of this now brings us to the other side of the equation, Joe Biden and the Democrats, and of course, much of the media, which are now in absolutely full freakout mode. By the way, speaking of the media, I have to show you this fantastic moment from the floor of the convention today. Check out what happened here when some hapless MSNBC correspondent bailed up young Donald Trump Jr. at the convention.
If the media actually starts being an honest broker, talking about the things that he did, the prosperity he brought, the peace deals that he signed around the world, rather than the disaster that we're living right now, I think you'd do everyone in the country a big favor.
I know immigration's important to him. I covered the family separation crisis closely. Will we continue to see policies like separating 5,000 children deliberately from their parents?
You mean the Obama administration?
You know they didn't do that, sir.
Okay, sure.
Will there be a second family separation policy?
It's MSDNC, so I expect nothing less from you clowns. Even today, even 48 hours later, you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait with your lies and with your nonsense. So just get out of here.
And that, my friends, is how it is done. Meanwhile, this is how it's not done. Look, last night you'll recall I talked about how the Democrats have a real fundamental problem now in the wake of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. On the one hand, they say they want to lower the temperature of discourse. We should all be nice and kind, as Joe Biden said from the Oval Office yesterday. On the other hand, if the Democrats and the left really are serious about lowering the temperature, well, that means they can't keep calling Trump the second coming of Adolf Hitler, who will end American democracy. Now, this, of course, has put the Democrats in a real tight spot, because if it's true that they really believe that Donald Trump, of all people, will suddenly end the 240-year American experiment in small R Republican governance, that all the checks and balances and courts and constraints can be undone by one man, well, sorry, Democrats, but it doesn't sound like you've got a lot of faith in the American system you claim to treasure and venerate. But meanwhile, if the Democrats have to stop talking now about how Donald Trump is an absolutely existential and presumably must be eliminated threat to American democracy, well, then they'll have nothing left to sell to voters but fear. Now, guess what? The great White House brains trust, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Karine Jean-Pierre, the chiefs of staff, all of them, though, they've put on their thinking caps. They've gone into solution mode. And they've come up with this.
The view is that Trump and the MAGA Republican agenda is a threat to democracy. So how do you get that message across while bringing the temperature down? How is that phrasing going to be replaced? Is it going to be replaced?
Well, look, what I can say is this. We have our differences, and it's okay to have our differences. And it is okay to speak to someone's record, to speak to someone's character.
Well, as Karine Jean-Pierre would say, what I can say is this. It sounds to me like...
Wow, you see the problem? The mainstream media, the way, the wokeism with them is just appalling, because they want to push a certain narrative and twist it, make people believe. And this don't make sense, because lots of people don't even know the difference. The mainstream media is brainwashing lots of people. The woke mainstream media is brainwashing lots of people. And with the Dems pushing and saying, oh, Trump is this, Trump is that, and all of that, feeding into people's ear, the mainstream media push the narrative to people, because, of course, people trust the mainstream media. Yeah, and that is the problem. Because with all of this, they are trying to create a divide. And that is their mission, that is their aim. What happened on Saturday shouldn't have happened to nobody. But when it happened, the mainstream media, the woke mainstream media, were pushing a narrative that wasn't true. And when you looked at it, you wonder, like, what is going on? How do you get here? Really? What happened on Saturday shouldn't have happened to Trump, nor should it happen to nobody. Look at it in all fairness. But let's go on.
Is this? It sounds to me like that's code for we're just going to keep calling the other guys fascists because, hey,
We don't agree
we're the
with
good
you.
guys, right? We're Democrats. Now, the Biden White House simply can't be fascists. They'd never put their leader on a blood-red set, flanked with flags and military people to denounce the opposition as beyond the pale, would they?
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Wow.
Now, of course, they would never do anything like that, and that certainly didn't look at all fascist to me, really. Anyway, that was just a couple of years ago, and of course, the message of the Biden White House is still the same. Joe Biden, the Democrats, good. Trump and the Republicans, bad. But the messenger, Joe Biden, well, he's a little less slick than he was back then. Because while the GOP was having its Milwaukee love-in, gosh, I guess that's the first time that phrase has ever been used before, the president was giving an interview to NBC. Let's have a look.
You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that
I didn't say crosshairs.
Oh, he didn't say crosshairs, so okay, much better then. Now, Joe Biden was also asked if he'd spoken to Kimberly Cheadle, the director of the Secret Service, and he appeared to not know that she is a she.
Is it acceptable that you have still not heard, at least publicly, from the Secret Service director?
Well, I've heard from them.
But have you heard from her publicly?
Publicly, I've sat down in a situation room downstairs.
I've heard from him, he said. Well, you know, I gotta say, this is a common problem for Democrats these days, not knowing what is a woman, I suppose.
Exactly.
And then there was this.
Trump has said he's giving you a chance to redeem yourself, basically the idea of engaging in another debate.
We're going to have another debate.
Yeah, you're going to have one in September that's on the books. Would you be open to doing one in the next few weeks?
I'm going to debate him when we agreed to debate, and I'm going to debate him in September.
But if the opportunity came up to do one between now and then, is there a sense of wanting to get back on the horse?
I'm on the horse. Where have you been? I've done 22 major events, met thousands of people, overwhelming crowds, a lot happening. I'm on the horse. What I'm doing is going out and demonstrating to the American people that I have command of all my faculties, that I don't need notes, I don't need teleprompter. I can go out and answer any questions at all.
As Marge Simpson might say, yes, Joe, overwhelming crowds in your mind. Look, when you're explaining, you're losing. And when you're having to explain to the American people that as president, you really are still compos mentis and up to the job, well, forgive me for saying this, but just maybe you aren't.
But what I see here is the Dems trying to fear to people, and also the mainstream media pushing the narrative to tell people to fear their opponent or fear the other candidates because they are built or meant to push a narrative, which if you look at it, it don't make sense, honestly. And with what is going on with Biden, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, he needs rest. Honestly, he does. Yeah, him saying you don't need teleprompter, you don't need, really? Is that what people need? People don't need, honestly, regardless of how anybody want to feel, America needs a president that is alive and working, that is in their best self, even if it's just for the 4-year period or 4-year time. At least we need America standing. It's just the sad truth. And honestly, people at this point, I've said it before, go out to vote. Don't wait for one mainstream media to tell you who to vote or who is the right candidate. You know yourself better. You know your pocket better. You know what the economy is saying. You know how you're feeling regarding the economy. Because at the end of the day, if you vote wisely, or whoever candidate you pick is going to be either 4 years or 8 years. So you better know the right choice. But interesting, Donald Trump Jr. calling out the woke mainstream media, because it's about time people start talking, calling them out, because they are not helping at all. But let me know what you think. I'm sure tons of people have interesting things to share. I really love to share that. You can share the useful information you think might be really helpful. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and all of that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.